So Samhain is coming up. How exciting. I know you guys are all very, very excited. If you've got any spooky stories, please send them to me. Email me at the_cemetery_witch@yahoo.com, or drop me a line on Instagram or on Facebook. I don't tend to use Facebook as much, so Instagram would be better. Facebook have got this silly thing where it times how long it takes you to respond, and just naturally, because I go to bed early, it can take me quite a while to respond. I've got a shorter day than most, and it just really frustrates me that it times it. So if it takes me a while to get back to you, it puts that on my page, which is just, I think, is irrelevant information really. So if you can, and you're on Instagram, send it to me there, or send it to me via email. But we read out some spooky stories before on the Witching Week, and it was lots of fun. So if you've got any weird, wonderful, it doesn't have to be ghosts, it could be extraterrestrials, it could be absolutely anything, message me. I would love to hear, and I'm sure everyone watching the Witching Week would love it as well. If I get enough, we will have, last time I did a whole episode, didn't I, with spooky stories. Even if we just get a couple, I will just do a normal session and include them. But if we get loads, then I'll do a dedicated The Witching Week for them. I might do two. I'll do like a regular one and then maybe a stories. We'll see, or just a really long one. So what sort of energy are we looking at the moment as we move towards Samhain? So it's considered by many that the veil is thinner at this time. I mean, the veil, I think, is always thin, but specifically at this time, it's considered to be very thin. It's easier to reach across and contact our loved ones in the spirit world, and it's easier for them to make contact with us. The line between the world of matter and the world of spirit, that boundary has gotten much, much easier to cross. It's regarded as a very, very special magical time because of this. Another time that is similar in its energy, a lot of people argue and dispute this, and I've seen some sort of famous old school witches refer to this and others that haven't, but some suggest that Beltane is a similar time, and I certainly feel that. I feel like there is a lot of magic in the air at Beltane. I think that there is a lot of access to other entities and beings, and vice versa. I do know other witches that disagree with that and insist that Samhain is the only time. For me, it's all about balance, isn't it? And we look at the Wheel of the Year and we look at that as balanced, really. And Beltane is opposite Samhain, and I feel like that fits. But you might have a different opinion on that, and that's absolutely fine. It's considered a liminal space just because of the nature of this, the veil being thinner and we being in that position where, we can be between the world of matter and the world of spirit, or we can reach across easily, so they can reach across to us. So it's a traditional time as a result for honouring our ancestors, communicating with them, working with them, but mainly commemorating and remembering them, setting some time out to think about them, to remember them, to think about the aspects of their personality that we loved, that we hated, that we found funny. It's a great time for telling stories, for cooking family recipes, and just really connecting in with our loved ones that have passed over, and perhaps our ancestors that we didn't know so well. And this could be all sorts of ancestors as well. When we talk about ancestors, they don't have to be familial. They don't have to be people we were related to, but also sometimes we don't have a connection with the people that we are or were related to. Sometimes we might have physical, biological family, but perhaps we in our lifetime we don't connect with them, we don't have a relationship with them, and then the same goes for when they've passed over. So we have other ancestors, we have other spirits that look out for us. Ancestors could be creative ancestors, they could be an old music teacher that you once knew that did a lot for you that's passed over, or it could be a creative ancestor that really inspired you in your life and got you onto a particular journey. So it might be that Kurt Cobain is one of your creative ancestors, or David Bowie, or It's just any musician or artist or writer, anyone that inspires you. When we talk of ancestors, it doesn't have to be familial. It could be a magical or spiritual ancestor. So for me, I consider one of my ancestors to be the chap that brought Reiki to the West. So it could be any number of things. You might consider Doreen Valiente a magical or spiritual or religious ancestor of yours. It really does depend. So this is a perfect time as well for inner work. Just naturally, we become inner. We become inside in the autumn and winter. We're less outer. We're not outside. We're not sharing our energy and our love and our time so much with other people. We become more reflective. We might go to bed early. We might wake up later because it's dark and it's cold outside. We just tend to retreat inside. And so naturally, we tend to retreat inside ourselves. So this is a great time for meditation, divination, reflection, contemplation, astral travel, learning the tarot, brushing up on those skills and things you want to remember, reading, all that inner work, all that inner stuff that perhaps we don't have time for in the summer. We concentrate on our inner lives rather than our outer lives, and that is just a natural thing. And I believe that we would have done this for hundreds and thousands of years. So it's a great time to work on the shadow side of our personalities as well. It's a great time to reflect and look inward and think about some of the things perhaps that we could change about ourselves, or even just things that we could accept about ourselves. I'm a great believer in accepting yourself as a whole in order to love yourself. That doesn't mean that you don't try and change the things that perhaps could be better, or change the things that you would like to be different about yourself. But we're all human, we all have flaws, we all have things as a result of our childhoods, the way we're brought up, or perhaps are just our own natural personalities that perhaps we could work on. But it's really important to embrace ourselves as a whole. There's balance, there's light and dark. And when we do that, we free up energy. All the time we're denying stuff and we're having a battle, we don't free up that energy for working on ourselves. So to accept and to love is to actually change things for the better. And there's parts of myself that I'm working on that I still haven't mastered, that probably take me years, that I feel I need to change and need to be different. But I do accept that that is an integral part of me, and that's going to take some time and some work and some effort, and just the playing out of situations over and over and over again until I master and until I get things right. So in the meantime, I might as well love myself, because when you love yourself, you can love other people. You've got the energy, you've got the headspace, you've got the time, you've got the confidence. So a great time to do shadow work, journaling, any kind of reflection, maybe start a video blog, just absolutely anything. So I wrote down a few activities that you guys could do that are just simple and easy and don't take an awful lot of energy. So many people getting worked up about, being in other parts of the country and not being able to get to Glastonbury or Avebury. There are other magical places in the UK. We've got the Rollright Stones. There are lots of stone circles in Northern Ireland. There's lots in Scotland. And you don't have to, you can just be at home. For me, Samhain, I like to be in my home at a certain time. So, we might try and go for a walk in the morning. If we've got the children, then we'll do fun things with them. But I like to be in before the sun sets, and I like to have all my little rites and rituals, and I repeat these every single year. And that's what makes them really special, because they have become tradition. It's not all about being at places that are known for being witchy or spooky, or because there's lots of people there. For me, it's all about nature. And if you want to celebrate Samhain by going for a walk outside and observing what you see, then that is a celebration in itself. Make their everyday, make the mundane magical. It's what you make of it. It truly, truly is. So on my list of things that you could do to celebrate Samhain, get outside for a walk if you can. Obviously, not everybody is the same. you know, for some people, they're not able to do that. They might have mobility issues. You know, when I make these suggestions, obviously you need to adapt them for your own circumstances. Sitting in front of an open window and getting some fresh air and looking out and noticing the change of the seasons is just as good if you can't get outside. So when I make these suggestions, please don't come at me and say, well, not everyone can go for a walk. I know that. Use your common sense, use your own circumstance and your own situation and adapt. It's getting colder and darker now, or at least it will be when Samhain rolls around. So it makes sense to get out and enjoy stuff while you can. Again, that is situation dependent. For me, I don't particularly enjoy going out in the autumn and winter now, because we don't come back to a warm home, because we can't afford to have a warm home. It means I don't like getting wet and I don't like getting cold, because I get cold very, very easily due to very low blood pressure. And so coming inside is not like, you know, it's not like getting cold outside and then coming back to a warm home. So again, when I say it's colder and darker, get outside, have a walk, that just might simply not be possible for you. Carve some pumpkins. Brilliant activity to do with the kids. Again, it might not be something you can do. This is just a list of suggestions. Take and pick what you like, what you don't like, and it's just to get the brain juices flowing. So you would probably be able to think of a million other, and I mean literally a million other ideas or activities, or perhaps things that suit you better. Apple bobbing, always fun at this time of year. Obviously, traditionally a fun Halloween thing, but you know, there's no set rules. If you want to do this with your kids on the 20th of October to have fun, then do it. Dumb supper, again, does not have to be on the 31st. As lovely as it would be to do it on the 31st, you can do it a day before, a day after. The point is honouring and marking your ancestors. And if you can't do that on the 31st because, you know, you have a life and life gets in the way and you have things that you need to do, you might be a nurse that works at a hospital, for example, I don't think your ancestors are going to be upset that you chose to honour them on a different day because you chose to honour them. Go on a cemetery walk, that's always interesting and really life affirming. See what you can see, look at the different gravestones, look at people's ages, look at when they were born, how long they lived, look at the vast array of names. Have a bonfire with family and friends, a lovely way to be outside but to be warm. And obviously Samhain is one of the 4 fire festivals. Reflect on your growth this year, look back, and also obviously look forwards. You know, what do you want to achieve in the next year? Where do you want to be come next Samhain? You know, what do you want your life to look like? Are there things that you want to change? Are there things that you would do differently? Recreate some family recipes, that's always a lovely one. And another one that I mentioned before, which is share family stories. So lots of ideas there, lots of ideas that don't involve a huge amount of travel, a huge amount of money. They don't involve going to anywhere in particular, and they're very valid ways to celebrate and honour Samhain.